Face reality!
What's the worst day of the week that gets us all depressed? MONDAYSUCKS. Here comes more aggravation and a brand new week of stress. MONDAYSUCKS. Monday sucks. Monday sucks. Monday sucks. Monday sucks. Forever will it make you want to cry, cry, cry. So come along and sing the song, now get it off your chest. MONDAYSUCKS.
Welcome back, everybody. And once again, Raymond is back to his old tricks of raining on our parade.
Wait, that's not rain!
No, it's more of Raymond's lies, starting with the first video where he tries to pass off this video as authentic NASA footage. Let's take a look.
There you go. Live simulation. Sometimes they admit it, sometimes they don't. Jerky, unrealistic movements. Very easy to tell he's being hoisted by a crane. And here it comes. More simulation that they do not admit to. Official NASA footage. Fire in a vacuum. What's it pushing on? Take a look.
What the hell am I looking at?
The same unrealistic movements, yet they claim this is authentic. It is not. They are mocking you. Take a look. Face reality. All fake simulation. Sometimes they tell you, sometimes they don't. Go ahead. Face reality.
What the hell was that?
That would be Raymond attempting to describe the 1966 Gemini 9 spacewalk as NASA footage, when it actually wasn't. It was actually broadcast by CBS and aired by Walter Cronkite. This was a simulation that was directed by the studio in an attempt to illustrate just what the astronauts were going through at the time that they were receiving the broadcast, which was audio only. So this is actually just a stage act of what was actually happening. So yes, it's a simulation generated for the audiences that were watching.
The Week in Space. CBS News selective coverage of the mission of Gemini 9. Now the start of astronaut Gene Cernan's 2.5-hour walk in space. Reporting from the CBS News Space Center at the McDonnell Aircraft Plant in St. Louis, correspondent Walter Cronkite.
Good morning, and everything is going well for Eugene Cernan's walk in space. The longest man has yet attempted, only the third time a man has stepped out of a spacecraft into the void of space and floated independent of the machine that took him there. Eugene Cernan is scheduled to step out of that Gemini 9 spacecraft out over Hawaii in about 5 minutes from now. This is our simulation here in McDonnell. What's going on right now?
The link to the full video is in the description below if anybody's interested in watching the full 2-hour broadcast that was performed live in 1966. As you can see, Raymond has attempted to sell this particular clip that he cherry-picked as actual NASA footage and then proclaimed that it's all fake, just like the rest of his claims. As you can see, it's a lie, just like everything else Raymond says. And that brings us up to the next video, where he attempts to debunk my nomination of him for Top Left 2023. Let's take a look at this one. I now move on to our third and final clip from Raymond, where he faces his greatest nemesis, gravity.
However, if we are to be honest, we don't know what gravity is itself.
True to his fashion, Raymond just loves the sound of his own voice, doesn't he?
In any fundamental way, when you Google, what don't we know about gravity? Why can't they directly detect, identify, isolate, to then study and examine gravity itself, to then harness gravity itself?
Despite what you say, Ray, all of what you've just said has been done. We can measure, observe, and predict the effects of gravity with extreme accuracy, to the point where we can even manipulate it to a small degree, using things like the Cavendish experiment.
Why do they say a rock falling is gravity. A rock falling is not gravity.
Get ready to watch Raymond commit one of his favorite fallacies, cherry picking, and I'll describe why in just a moment. For once, Raymond is actually correct here. The rock falling is not gravity instead. In that instance, Raymond attempted to make it sound as though I was denying the existence of gravity. However, if he had actually played the full clip, which will be played in just a second, you would have noticed that I actually say that the rock falling is an effect of gravity instead. Here's the full unedited segment that I clipped directly from my original video, just to show you.
A rock falling is not gravity.
For once, Raymond is actually correct here. The rock falling is not gravity. It's just an effect of gravity instead.
Gravity is what they claim is making the rock fall. Gravity is what they claim is making the rock fall. Gravity itself isn't physical. No. It has no present substance, form, or physicality. And that is why they must admit, however, if we are to be honest, we don't know what gravity is itself in any fundamental way. If you have an aptitude over 90, you now know that gravity is fake. Face reality.
I have no idea what Raymond is referring to when he says an aptitude over 90.
What's this? Logical reason refers to the ability of a candidate to understand and logically work through concepts and problems. Therefore, I am not surprised you have no idea what the word means.
And here we see Raymond displaying his dishonesty by assuming that the viewer knows which field of aptitude he is addressing in the video. But I can tell you that he constantly ignores the universal response that he has given to his query, which is that we do not need to know exactly what gravity is.
What's that? The universal response? Of course.
And in this comment, Raymond is denying the fact that virtually everybody in the comments section that he posts in gives him a universal response that states exactly the same thing. We do not need to know what gravity is in order to observe, measure, and predict its effects with extreme accuracy.
Gravity itself isn't physical. It has no present substance, form, or physicality. And that is why they must admit, however, if we are to be honest, we don't know what gravity is itself in any fundamental way. If you have an aptitude over 90, you now know that gravity is fake. Face reality.
I have no idea what Raymond is referring to when he says an aptitude over 90, but I can tell you that he constantly ignores the universal response that he has given to his query, which is that we do not need to know exactly what gravity is.
And my universal query is why? Why don't they know what gravity is itself in any fundamental way? Care to answer that?
Raymond likes to treat this question like a gotcha. Just because we don't know what gravity is, he thinks that that invalidates its existence. And just because gravity itself isn't physical, he doesn't believe that it can interact directly with physical matter. Just like magnetic fields, light, or any type of energy. Raymond, could you perhaps hold a magnetic field in your hands? Because it is your claim that magnetism is physical, as is light.
Maybe it has no present substance, form, or physicality to directly detect, identify, or isolate. To study, examine, or analyze. Is that why they don't know what gravity is itself in any fundamental way? I think so.
One of the best compendiums of gravitational experiments is at mctoon.net/G, where mctoon has compiled a list of 43 experiments that all have to do with gravity. The funny thing about all of these experiments is that they all correlate with one another and support one another. Each link contained in that compendium will direct you to a website that details how the experiment was performed, including the apparatus's setup, conduction, and the different variables that were taken into account for the experiment. Because the details of the experiments are so well documented and publicly available, that means that anybody with the resources and the know-how can go out and perform these experiments themselves to confirm them for themselves. This includes people like Ramon, who, if he was being honest, would go out and perform these experiments to confirm their validity. In this first image, Ramon claims that his work is already published, known by millions, and can be...
Get a grip. Get over it.
I'll say that I'm not the one denying reality, Ramon. However, it is only fair that we ask you to validate your credentials. If your work is published and so well known, Ramon, then it should be of no effort to you to point us in the direction where we can find it and verify it for ourselves. You've gone so far as to make some very bold claims, Ramon, such as being extremely wealthy, having a vast estate, hosting private red carpet auctions, and just recently you made the claim that you were a psychiatrist in Queens for over a decade. Given your actions and demeanor, I find that very hard to believe. Next, Ramon claims that fire, light, and magnetic fields are all physical. I don't think I need to say anything more on that.
I wouldn't either if I had no logic, like you.
Perhaps Ramon would be so kind as to demonstrate how he can mold light with his bare hands. Or perhaps he can use a magnetic field line like a rope, twist it around, and put it under tension until it snaps like a solar prominence does.
So why does your model admit that magnetism is a physical property?
And here we get to Ramon demonstrating that he doesn't even understand a middle school concept, that magnetism is a physical property of materials. Some elements are diamagnetic, paramagnetic, and ferromagnetic, each one having a different reaction to magnetic fields and electrical fields. In this case, the article that he's reading is an attempt to describe the difference between a physical property of matter and a chemical property of matter that any middle schooler would be able to understand.
Care to explain? What's this? Study.com? Your model admitting that magnetism is a physical property, of which I will supply the link for you to mourn over. Fire isn't physical? Well, go ahead and stick your hand in it, moron.
That's right, Ramon. Fire isn't physical. Fire is the electromagnetic energy that is generated from the separation of atomic bonds. Several atoms are heated to the point of superexcitement, and the energy bonds that bind them together can no longer maintain that bind, and therefore the atoms split apart, and energy is released as a byproduct in the form of fire.
And light, something we can see, feel, directly detect, identify, and harness to produce energy.
Light doesn't produce energy, Ramon. Light is energy. On the electromagnetic wavelengths, visible light is what we can actually see. But there are, as you're about to say, suntans that are generated by infrared wavelengths and ultraviolet wavelengths that we cannot see. But we do have apparatuses that can detect them.
And suntans and many other things. How illogical. Need I go any further with this individual misanthropy or whoever you are? Get a grip again. Face reality.
As you can see, it's really no wonder why I nominated Ramon for top left. He exhibits all of the classic symptoms of Dunning-Kruger. He believes himself to be an expert in any and all fields, but very clearly he has absolutely no knowledge or experience in any of them at all. Thank you all for watching, and have a good day.